Yeah, where'd you get those Crocs from?
These?
Yeah.
TikTok just kept peppering me with ads, and I kept clicking on them every time. So like the more I clicked, the more ads they showed me, and then I eventually just gave in. They're very comfy. They're like a carpet inside. They're like little feet carpet rolls. They're insane looking. Told myself I'd never wear them out of the house. Next thing you know, I'm 40 blocks from my house in these things. I don't even know if they're official Crocs. Could have came from Japan for all I know.
That logo looks legit on the side, no?
Yeah, I think they're real.
72 yards. Got nothing to say, Joe, all right? Got to eat my L. That's how it is. JL's going to go on to win it all. He's got the right roster. My boys didn't show up. That's it. Sunday, December 15th. This week, Tuesday, we got back from Dallas. You guys already saw that vlog, but shout out to Joe, shout out to Underdog. That was an awesome trip. Kind of exhausting. Once we got back, I was ready to get back. I was tired. When we got back Tuesday, we hopped straight into trivia and back to the grind.
Great week of football. Now that fantasy's over, love every second of it. I'm like Joe, where I just want to see sad chaos. I want everybody to lose. J-Mo, fuck them.
This week, I was facing JL in Week 15 of the fantasy playoffs, and right now, I stand a 5% chance of winning. My team, they're not having a great day. Like, Jalen Waddle got hurt. He has 0 points, but it's more so JL's just having that type of day. He has Devontae Adams, who went 9 for 198 and 2 touchdowns, 42 fantasy points. And I would just like to make something clear. He had 2 points, 2.2 points at halftime. Third quarter, fourth quarter, he tacked on 40.6 points in 2 quarters. So, also Lamar Jackson has 5 touchdowns. But no one wants to hear me complain. You guys all have your own fantasy leagues as well. I'm sure you got gypped or you're moving on to the next round. Congrats to you. Me, looks like we'll be rooting for the sidelines. I think I'm going to stick with rooting for my bracket, just hoping JL or Casey comes out on top. Those are both my guys, and I hope one of them win it all since it will not be me.
Fantasy season's almost over. Week 15 is coming to an end, and it looks like the Final Four in Idiot League Mates is going to be JL versus Casey, and then Jack versus JL. So 4 guys left in the league, and 2 of them being settlements is not a great look. If it ends up being them in the championship game, it is going to be insufferable in here. So big rooting for Gut, big rooting for JL. But either way, this is kind of turning into almost worst case scenario. So Idiot League Mates, maybe we don't even do it in the future because, I'm just saying, like, we can't have this. We cannot have 2 guys who have never played fantasy before come in and win a league full of fantasy experts. So
we're watching football right now. What else we got going on? I've given you guys the engineer update. We have our final 2 interviews, I believe, on Wednesday afternoon. And then me and JL will regroup, kind of talk through our rankings of the candidates, and then probably start to write up 2 offers for the candidates that we choose. Might get on a 3rd interview if we're kind of tied between 2 of them. A lot of you guys that have interviewed have gone above and beyond afterwards. I will say right now, I don't think we have a clear front runner for either of the roles, the juniors or the seniors. We've had a lot of qualified candidates that I think we would be okay moving forward with from both selections. Some people have gone above and beyond to show how much they really want. And I think that this is one of the best parts about building a media part of your business. And it's another reason why I try to push this on people who do run a business that's not media centric. Obviously we are a media business that focuses all our efforts into that. But if you run a business that is not media centric, that should start to be one of the key focuses for you going into this upcoming year, because the talent acquisition that you get through content, through making content, through people hearing your story and seeing the behind the scenes of what you're doing is unmatched and unrivaled by anything that you could do out there. So when we put out the job postings and we have people apply, every single one of the candidates knows all about the business. They're passionate about it. They know the people that work in the business and they want to go above and beyond to be a part of it. So a lot of them will be done with the interviews, and then they'll email us, a day, 2 days, a week later being like, hey, I kept thinking about that problem we had during the interview. or I built out this little tool that I was, thinking about when we were talking during the interview, and they go above and beyond to like show physically what they could do. So, it's been cool just to meet everybody throughout the application process so far. So Wednesday, regroup, pick some peoples, and then again, all of you guys that have interviewed with JL face to face will get an email regardless of what direction we go in.
Thursday, I had a deep one-on-one with Nicholas. I think Tony did too. Gut might have as well. And then Thursday, Gut was also moving out of our apartment. But the one-on-one was pretty cool. Me and Nick were like kind of updating each other on where we stand in the company. Like, how do we feel about things? What do we want to do next? What do we not want to do anymore? How do we want to be better? And those are like my favorite talks to have, because it's just like, every time I have them, it's also good to just kind of like communicate how you're feeling, but it also just like kind of resets the standard of like painting a clear picture of like what we're aiming for, what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I don't do the one-on-ones that often with them. I'm more of like a bad boss, I guess you could say. Like, I don't sit down with them enough to the point, because I'm just not a micromanager. I'm kind of just like, here's what you need to do, and just like do it real fucking well, and then go above and beyond and dominate and do it even better. Not a great attitude probably to have, but that's what I want to see. We have the one-on-ones, and they always turn into like therapy sessions for the most part. These were actually a lot more tame. These were a little bit more work focused. It's funny because being in here as a much older person than the rest of the guys in here, you guys probably see us and all of us have like the same energy. So you just assume we're the same age, and you probably, I'm sure, know this, and I've said this before, but like I'm 32 and a lot of these guys are like a full 10 years younger than me. And your most like formidable years, the years in which you grow up the most, are from, 21 to like 27, 28. So they are like changing. And I remember that was 5 or 6 lifetimes ago for me. So I try to keep that in mind as I am working with them. So a lot of the times, like, one of my biggest jobs here is to like control their emotions in a way, make sure that they don't get too high or low about anything, make sure that their personal lives are okay. Cause these are young, hungry men, hormones going all over the places, girl problems left and right. Like, these are the things that I have to think about when I am working with the young 20s over here. So a lot of the times the one-on-ones turn into conversations about that stuff. For this particular week with JMO, one thing that I really want to see more of with JMO is he's doing a great job with everything, but one thing I think we could be doing better on the trivia side of things, like obviously vlogging, like this video in particular, is the most powerful form of storytelling that we do, but I think the trivia itself, we don't do a great job of storytelling and building on top of the stories. And I think a lot of that is like supplementary content, whether it is vlog clips or like graphics are a big thing that we don't really dive into much. Like, if you follow both this channel and like Your Idiot League Mates, if you've been following Your Idiot League Mates, like that's been a storyline throughout the entire year that's supplemented by all different types of content, right? Whether it's shorts, TikToks, reels, Instagram graphics, Twitter graphics, and the long form vlogs, obviously, or the long form YouTube videos. And I feel like we're leaving a lot of meat on the bone as it relates to storytelling within the trivia brand itself. So I was kind of like the JMO, I want you to look at, imagine you came into BDGE and trivia was the only thing that we did. Like, nothing else was worked on. That was your only focus. How would you tell the story of what's going on inside the office then? And that was a focus for him, as well as like a ton of other things that, I put on his plate. And I kind of got to the point where I wanted to make sure that I was just like throwing things on his plate, onto his plate to see when his breaking point hit. And he finally got to the point in the one-on-one where he was like, okay, I think I have enough on my plate that I'm having trouble focusing and being great at one specific thing. And that was kind of the point I was looking to get to. So now I can either scale up with somebody else and start to take shit off his plate so that he can focus on the things that I think he'll be really good at, or I could scale back, etc., whatever, figure it out that way. But that was the point I was looking to get to with JMO for quite a while right now, because he's like basically head of partnerships and sponsorships for us right now. He's working on a lot of trivia games, making them. He's doing all the merch stuff. So he's handling a ton of stuff within the business. And I give that to him because I know he can handle it, and he's great at it. And he's shown like so much growth and so much initiative on these things. But sometimes I wonder if I should just get him focused on just one thing or two things really, really deeply so that he can be like really great with those things.
Mid-season, I feel like I've said in like 9 vlogs now, it's just so head down, repeat and rinse mode and grind mode that you kind of get lost at like what we're building here just because it's repeat. So it's just good to have that talk. And I'm like super pumped about what I'm going to be doing, what I've been doing, and just continuing to grow that side of things, such as merch, partnerships. We're actually planning on doing a partnership with Factor next week. I think it'll already happen by the time you guys watch the vlog, but we partner with Factor, who's like a meal brand. Pretty cool because like I see ads of this all the time on my Instagram or TikTok. And now it's cool to like kind of work with this company, try out some of their food. I'm trying to think if we've done the only other partnership we've done on the trivia channel is, of course, we've done some Underdog things and then Blue Chew, which it was a real partnership. Like we got paid, we had requirements to meet, but it felt like a little bit memey at the time. And now it's like, okay, we're starting to actually meet with brands, build up the trivia channel via partnership. So shout out to Factor being one of the first, and there will be many more to come. And I'm excited about that.
And that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to as well, as it relates to the engineering hires. I think when we get more product-focused people within the company, I think when we start building out more tools and services and have those hands on deck to help build out the things that the other guys around here want to see built, like I think JMO's going to be a superstar with that stuff. I think he has a really good eye and attention to detail and just like questioning process of like, does this matter? What are we doing here? Why would we do this kind of thing? I think he's really, really good with that. I don't think I've allowed him the ability or unlocked the ability that I think he has once we get the product people in place for that. And I think we're just going to take off after that. Yeah, so that's exciting. And then I'll sit down with Gut at some point, I think next week maybe. For Tony, I was telling him that I really want to see him start to scale up the video editing side of things for our company. Because right now Sexy does a lot of the trivia long form edits. Joe does the vlogs. Tony does almost every single fantasy related edit. So all of my individual videos, which is like 4 or 5 a week on the fantasy channel, the Your Idiot League Mates videos, he does I think 3 a week as well. And he works on all of them. And I need him to start like teaching other people and mentoring younger editors so that we can have a team if we need to start moving in other directions, or we want to scale up the short form content, whether it's on YouTube Shorts or TikTok or whatever the case may be. So that was a really big emphasis I had for him, and I've already seen like actionable steps being taken from him, reaching out to people that we have in our kind of Rolodex to start to scale that side of things up.
My goal for the next year, next calendar year, next football year, but just from here on out, is to be more of a leader within BDG, to try and help mentor other people in their way into BDG. So we have some people who kind of help us part-time working on either clips or graphics, anything like that. I think it would benefit the company and myself personally if they were trusted enough to take on a bigger workload. Recently, a couple weeks ago, I got food poisoning and I was at home and I was fucking illy sick. I actually thought I was not gonna make it out. I don't know if I've ever really had food poisoning before, but that was the worst of it all. My girlfriend counted 21 times that I threw up that night. It was not great, but that's not the point. The point is I was super sick. I couldn't get my work done. That could have been passed on to someone else who, again, that we trust can get it done in a timely manner and to a level that we want it done. For my benefit and the benefit of the company, that's going to be my main goal for the next upcoming months. Trying to kind of show people the ropes and the expectations that we have in terms of making content here at BDG, even if it's not like on-camera content, obviously. That was something that I was kind of tasked with a little bit in the past. Honestly, I was probably the worst mentor of all time. I actually wasn't even a mentor. Like I didn't do any mentoring at all. Part of it was just me not realizing the importance of like mentoring other people that have kind of come and gone within the building. I think the other part is like I was never really mentored in any of this. I kind of just showed up, needed some type of creative outlet, so I took a lot of the initiative on myself and was just like doing things. About 4 years ago, Nick kind of opened the door for me to edit videos, and I just kind of started editing shit on my own. Editing videos, I was like making memes, I was doing graphics, and none of it was good. It was all trash. Like if you go and look what I was doing 4 years ago, it was fucking terrible. But at the same time, there wasn't any guidance. There wasn't a blueprint to any of it. I was just doing it out of desperately wanting to make stuff for BDGE, even if it was trash. I don't really know how to mentor people because I was never taught anything really. I was like mostly self-taught. But at this point, like I know now the expectation of what we want and what needs to be done and what we could be doing more. So my focus is to help some people that we have a little bit who are like on the outside. I'm trying to get them more on the inside and have them be more of an integral part of BDG. You know, I think it's also been kind of inspiring a little bit talking to people who make content, whatever it is. They've been very proactive in it to where they have like a ton of questions of, is this something you like? Is this something you like? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And I think that type of initiative obviously makes it easy for me to mentor, but it also is like, it's just nice to see that people are so adamant and interested and wanting to help the growth and the brand of BDG. More or less, that's I guess what I'm gonna be focusing on going forward, is kind of just getting other people to do my job eventually.
And then yesterday was a busy day for me where I fully moved out of mine and Guts' apartment. We've officially slept together for the last time. Pause. Feels good to finally get the move over with, because I was just hauling a suitcase of my junk every day from New Jersey to New York City, and that was just the worst part of moving. I don't know why I didn't just like suck it up and pay $500, $1,000, whatever the price was to move. Now I would have been willing to pay that 10 times, but for some reason I was like, no, I could do it myself. And then halfway through, I was like, this fucking sucks. But now that I'm halfway through, I might as well get it done. So I don't know. I just realized too late. It was like, okay, might as well just push through. Cool to be done. Cool to move on to like a new part of my life. First time living alone. So we'll see what that results in. And I'm excited for it. Me and Gut had a good run. I'll miss him. And it was super fun living together. We did a lot of shit together every night. I feel like we had like the same conversations, somehow spun differently, just like somehow trash talking to us, somehow hyping up Trevor Lawrence, talking about gaming, talking about BDG. But I wouldn't have wanted it any other way for the past year. So shout out to Gut. That was really fun.
I've officially moved into my apartment, so I'm pretty excited about it. I have my studio set up. I'm pretty hype about it. I get my last thing in today, which is like so there's no door on like where my studio is now. So I got like a soundproof, heat-proof like curtain thing that I'm hoping kind of contains a little bit more of that sound. I have soundproofing all over the main wall that I speak into. So I'm hoping that kind of dims it down. It's so far right now, it's a lot better with the soundproofing, but it still is a little bit of work to go because some sound travels into like the hall and everything, and I still some furniture I have to build out there to finish off kind of like the main projects before Christmas. But I'm really hype about that, making a lot of progress. NFL playoffs are around the corner, which I'm excited about for like betting stuff. Normally I kind of have to ramp up during the NFL playoffs, so I'm going to be excited about doing that. Me and Nick talked about that last week, about just kind of like putting a lot of focus into the NFL playoffs since fantasy will be done. So having the betting side kind of be more of a focus thing. 'Cause right now I just kind of do everything. So it would be cool to have them on the couch and be able to like yab about stuff going forward and see like their perspectives on how different playoff matchups are going to end up and whatnot. I think that's going to be pretty cool.
What else is going on? Business-wise, you know, we got the holidays coming up. We got the end of the season coming up.
By the time you're seeing this, my ass is on a flight back to California for the holidays. Gonna be there for about a week, a little over a week. You know, gonna see the fam, gonna see some friends, gonna be merry. I'm so excited to get out of the cold of New York. I feel like I'm, at this point, kind of getting used to it. You get prepared for the cold. You know you got to go outside in 3 to 5 layers of clothing. Your hands just kind of get used to the numbness. Same with your ears and your nose. And cold sucks, but you do get used to it. But then when you go back to California, you realize how bad the weather in New York actually is. So I'm glad to be escaping it for a week.
On a personal note, I've been back in the gym more. You know, I know you guys knew that already just by, you know, taking a peek right quick. I started going to this gym that's near my apartment downtown where I live. It's called Temple, and it's a good gym. They really pitched me on like an infrared sauna, and I didn't look at it prior to signing up. You walk down the stairs of the gym. Normally, like a sauna in the gym in the locker room is like, you know, tucked in the corner or whatever, hidden. You want to go in there naked, whatever, do your thing. The sauna is like you walk down the stairs and you get into the gym, and then you have to choose, okay, women's locker room, men's locker room, and the sauna's in the middle, like before you get into any of the locker rooms. So like if you want to go into the sauna, you go in. It's like a 1 or 2 person sauna. Everybody going into the locker rooms just like looks at you as they go. It's fucking weird. So I'm never going to go into the sauna, so that's sad. But I am working out again, which is big. It's huge. It's huge for my mental state. During the winter, you need to like really fight the depression here in New York, and that's one way to do it.
Yeah, that's all it for me. Sunday is today, and I just kind of went through the fantasy matchup when I was going over Friday. Yeah, next week, the boys are heading out of town for the most part for just to go home for Christmas. I think Gut's going to Penn State, the Penn State game, which is next Saturday. Also next Saturday, I'll be going home to Florida, see my mom and dad. Tony will be going back to Cali, I think. Fantasy playoffs are here. The holidays are here. We got about 2-3 more weeks, 4 more weeks of the regular season, and be on the other side. Smoochies, buy some merch. We're still selling that. Just restocked on Smoochies, so go get some hoes. Use code 50BDGE at Factor to get 50% off your first purchase of Factor and free shipping now.
And the other topic I wanted to yap about that I haven't been able to yap about, it's about 2 weeks old now, but Spotify Wrapped came out. And obviously I talk about, yeah, I know, but it's about to be a month old by the time it comes out. Obviously I talk about music all the time, so I figured I haven't talked about my Spotify Wrapped. I posted on my Instagram story once, and I've gotten a lot of questions about it, so I figured I'd share mine. I have 123,000 minutes listened. Now, that doesn't factor in the SoundCloud minutes, which I think was at 50,000, something like that. So I had about a total of like 170,000 minutes listened this year. I also have been listening to a ton of TikTok audios, so that also plays tribute into that. A little bit lower than my average, I would say. Normally, I have around the 190,000 minute mark, somewhere in that range total. But for Spotify, it's definitely low with 123. Anyway, some of my top artists. Here's the thing I think Spotify Wrapped was wrong this year. And I know a lot of people were talking about it. The reason being is I pay for Stats FM. Well, you're probably like, what the fuck is Stats FM? Stats FM, you pay like $12 a year, but you can see all of your Spotify stats. They suggest different playlists. They do all this sort of stuff. So if you're really into music, it's really cool to see. Like, I can see my year-long top artist on Stats, and then I obviously got my year-long stats from Spotify. This is the differences, and I think it makes more sense that like the stats page that takes it directly from my profile and everything might be more accurate because it feels more accurate. They have my number one artist on both as Nothing Nowhere. That checks out. Spotify Wrapped had my number 2 being Montel Fish. Stats had Montel Fish at number 10. So that's like a drastic difference. They both had Tory Lanez at number 3. And then they had Sorrow at 4 on Spotify Wrapped. And Sorrow was number 2 on Spotify Stats. So that was a little off. And then number 5 was Cigarettes After Sex on Spotify Wrapped. But on the stats, Cigarettes After Sex was number 10. I mean, it was number 11. So the numbers are a little bit off for sure for there. And then the tracks were pretty drastically off. Lover of Mine was 1 and 2, flipped on Spotify Wrapped and Stats. But then I didn't even have, my number 2 song was Deeper Than Before on Stats. Wasn't even in my top 5 for Spotify Wrapped. Long Way Home was definitely a song I listened to an absolute fuck ton this year. And it wasn't even on my top 5 for Spotify Wrapped, but it was number 3 on Stats. I Actually Want to Die was number 4 on both. And Beautiful Boy, who again I listened to a ton, was number 5. And Or Memories was number 5. It wasn't even on my top 5 for Spotify Wrapped. Beautiful Boy was. That's wrong. It was number 3 on Spotify Wrapped. So it's just a lot of mixed up numbers. That kind of like, it was an interesting topic. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Joe, you say that it was fucked on your end. 100%. Like it said on this, Sunsets was my number 1 listened to song. On Stats, it has Sunsets at number 12. So it's like, that is a drastic difference. And it says I only streamed it 125 times. To put that in perspective, last year, I want to go back. I had it saved. I should have had this pulled up beforehand. Last year, I had my number 1 song saved. This year, it said 125 times, mind you. Right? Last year, it said I streamed my top song 189 times. This year, it has my top song at 120 times. So there's a drastic difference there, which just feels off and feels weird. 125 times to 189 times definitely is a little bit weird. Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting stat as well. Some other cool stats that I had that I figured I'd share. I listened to 2,860 different artists this year. So again, very diversified type shit. And then I played 6,626 songs this year. So that was also a pretty cool stat as well. And my biggest listening day, I did the math. On May 11th, I listened to 18 hours of music. That was really cool. I don't know what I was going through May 11th, but apparently that was a day and a half for me. I don't know what happened, but yeah, that's my Spotify Wrapped stats. I listened to Nothing Nowhere for over 5,414 minutes. You already know what else. Anyway, that's about it for Spotify. I figured I'd share that because a lot of people ask. Back streaming Madden. Now we're streaming on TikTok, which is cool. We had our first stream on TikTok last night for Cancel Gaming, so trying to get that up and rolling. I want to do it for when I go live for BDG bets and have it multi-stream to my account as well. I think that would be really cool. Or the BDG bets TikTok account, one of those two. I think that would be pretty sick. Try to drive more people to the bets YouTube side of things, but we'll see how that goes. And if I can set that up consistently on Streamlabs. But for now, it's on the Cancel Gaming. We're doing both, which is really exciting, really fun. Makes me kind of motivated to stream more too, just to have it on both, which is awesome. Anyway, that's really all I got. I'm done yapping now.